Hello and welcome to ITV News. This is Friday night's calendar.
And these are tonight's main stories. The moment of reflection to mark exactly 1 year since Russian forces invaded Ukraine.
As we go on air tonight, services are being held inside places of worship and vigils are also happening right now outside in towns and in cities right around our region.
They showed us the country, they opened their home and their hearts for us.
Also on Friday's calendar.
Please, just tell them I love you.
The son from Dewsbury who is now mourning his mother, another victim of the devastating earthquake in Turkey.
The tribute to Sir Bernard Ingham, Margaret Thatcher's former press secretary, who's died at the age of 90.
The calls for a ban on disposable vapes amid fears they're harming the environment, and
how the Flying Scotsman's been celebrating a century since streaming into service from a South Yorkshire engine shed. Hello there. First tonight, the region's solidarity with Ukraine as the year anniversary of Russia's invasion is marked here and around the world.
The last 12 months has seen thousands of refugees flee to a warm and caring welcome in our part of the world.
But the fears for what and, more importantly, who they've left behind has been on display today, with vigils being held across Yorkshire. Well, this is the scene live in Dortmund Square in Leeds, where people are gathering for a vigil outside right now. And in Bradford, a prayer vigil for peace is underway at the city's cathedral. And that is where Michael Billington has been today, and from where he sent this report.
It has become a symbol of remarkable resistance. Above Halifax Town Hall, and cascading from the heights of York Minster, the blue and yellow of Ukraine's flag fluttering over every corner of our region. In Bradford, the strains of the Ukrainian national anthem rang across Centenary Square, the city, like many others, falling silent at 11 o'clock.
They showed us the country, they opened their home and their hearts for us.
Anna fled Kyiv with her daughter last April into the arms of her sponsors in West Yorkshire. Today they prayed for the safety of Katie's father, left at home to defend their nation.
I'm happy that we took some good decisions, that we escaped, but I'm so sorry for all those people who did not. And we hope that, we know for sure that we will win, but we hope it will be soon.
I hate feeling that I'm alone, and thank you so much for you doing so we can feel it at home, but still it's not like our home.
Patchy signal in western Ukraine means contact with Paul Ivanitsky's family can be intermittent. We first met him in Doncaster exactly a year ago as his cousin prepared for the Russian onslaught.
People are actually buying weapons to protect themselves.
Today's anniversary, a reminder, he says, that the world must redouble its efforts in the face of Russia's aggression.
It is about all being together and remembering the bravery, remembering the sacrifice. If providing we can remain unified, then we have a chance. The minute there's any wavering on that, then Putin will start to win, and we must not let that happen.
At lunchtime, as Ukrainians gathered in York, candles were lit for those left behind.
I miss my parents, my country, my friends, but on the other hand, I feel strong enough to support my country and to do what I can to do.
And as the 6,000 refugees who've made a home here reflect on the most challenging of times for their country, these petals, a sign from our region that Yorkshire stands with Ukraine.
In many ways, they are teardrops, they are people's lives, they are just a symbol of, in blue and yellow, of the people of Ukraine.
Very moving, aren't they? Well, Canon Maggie McLean from York Minster was ending that report from Michael Billington. Next tonight, to the heartache that continues to be felt in our region after several earthquakes that have claimed the lives of at least 44,000 people in Turkey and Syria.
Among them was Aisha Kapta, whose son Serkan's prayers for her to be found alive among the rubble of his childhood home in southern Turkey went tragically unanswered.
Now Serkan, who lives in Dewsbury, wants to thank those who've been collecting and donating aid to those affected, but says the relief effort has unfortunately just begun. Jonathan Brown reports.
Where homes once stood, hope has since faded. Tens of thousands of lives lost to earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. The shockwaves of this disaster still impacting people the world over. In Dewsbury, thousands of miles from southern Turkey, where he grew up, Serkan is left processing his loss.
I would like to say for everyone, whoever they loved, please, just want to tell them, I love you.
This is all that remained of his childhood home, following the 7.8 magnitude earthquake on February the 6th. His mother Aisha's body was pulled from the rubble 5 days later.
I can't give her a cuddle anymore, my mom. She was the best ever person in my life. I'm so scared to go back to my hometown because it's not going to be the same again, unfortunately. Because all the buildings must have been collapsed. It's absolutely terrible.
More than 44,000 people have so far died and tens of thousands more left homeless, sparking an international relief effort as searchers for survivors turn to recovery of the dead. And on Monday, yet more destruction. Another less powerful earthquake bringing down infrastructure as aid workers and residents alike sought shelter.
The car vigorously shook and we all literally jumped out of our seats like what has happened? Had we been inside a building, it could have been completely different.
Daniel, who's travelled from Sheffield to Turkey to give out food, tents and mattresses,
that is what is left of his property,
says the latest tremors show just how urgent it is that those displaced get help.
The devastation is catastrophic. You feel a lot of hardship and a lot of heartache towards these people. But hopefully the situation gets better for them. Hopefully they can rebuild rebuild their lives.
Standing with those volunteers have been customers of a Turkish cafe back in Dewsbury that's been collecting donations of food and clothing. Among them is Serkan, who says from tragedy, togetherness has emerged.
Every nationality people, everyone just trying to help us. They just say we are so lucky.
Serkan says while he's still worried about the safety of his loved ones abroad, people's willingness to help in both the places he calls home provides a source of light in the darkest of times. Jonathan Brown, ITV News.
The man who rose from being a young reporter on a Yorkshire newspaper to being the right-hand man of former Prime Minister Lady Margaret Thatcher has died at the age of 90.
Bernard Ingham was known as a plain-speaking northerner and became Sir Bernard when his controversial boss resigned and gave him a knighthood. Senior Conservative MPs from our region described him as a great friend and said he was more powerful than many people realised.
Our political correspondent Katie Oscroft is in Downing Street tonight. Good evening, Katie. What's been the reaction there?
Well, Lara, there have been many warm tributes to Sir Bernard Ingham here today. It has to be said he wasn't everyone's favourite person when he wielded considerable influence, if not power, here in Downing Street. But one MP said to me today he was my hero. Now, he went from being a reporter on the Hemder Bridge Times to spending many hours in this very office behind me, where he would brief journalists for the 11 years that he worked for Margaret Thatcher. He's briefed them about many of the most turbulent times in British politics. The miners' strike was dominating in his home county of Yorkshire. Now, many MPs from our region have paid tribute to him today. David Davies said he was fiercely loyal to Margaret Thatcher.
It was very typical of those of us from Yorkshire. You know, he said what he thought, he spoke his mind, he had strong opinions, didn't mind expressing them. And even those people who disagreed with him had a huge respect for the fact that he was prepared to stand up and be countered.
He was her voice, you know, he was her person out there. And the most controversial things, you couldn't imagine the level of controversy that existed at the time, but he carried it all. And he carried it both because he was articulate, he was down to earth. He was Yorkshire, of course, which gave him a certain air of common sense as well.
Certainly was Yorkshire. Katie, tributes from the world of politics there. What have his family had to say?
Well, Lara, Sir Bernard Ingham's son John said today in a social media post, to the wider world he is known as a formidable operator in the political and Whitehall jungles, but to me he was a dad, and a great dad at that. He was a family man, but he also clearly loved his job in Downing Street.
Well, she couldn't have been better from my point of view. She knew what she was doing. She didn't change her mind, and she let me get on with it. You can't improve on that. I mean, I was blessed among press secretaries.
Well, when he worked in his office here, if he disagreed with him, Sir Bernard Ingham would describe it as bunkum and balderdash. His voice was there until the end, though. He wrote his column in the Yorkshire Post, and his last one was in January. So that opinion was expressed until the very end, and it's what he's remembered for today.
Katie Oscroft, thank you. Live in Westminster on the tributes to Sir Bernard Ingham, who's died at the age of 90.
Now, still to come on Friday's calendar before 6:30.
Majestically, the beautiful engine eased out of platform 10.
Celebrating a century of steam, how the Flying Scotsman's Yorkshire roots are being remembered.
It rolled out of Doncaster originally, so as a Yorkshireman, there's pride in that.
And will the skies be clear enough this weekend to see the moon, the stars and the planets? I'll have your full forecast for the next few days a little later on.
Kerry, thank you. There are calls for a ban on disposable vapes because of worries over their impact on the environment when they're discarded on the floor. Research has found that more than 1 million single-use e-cigarettes are thrown away every single week.
The vapes are made with plastic and also contain lithium, which is in short supply. It's estimated that the amount of metal that's thrown away in the vapes could provide batteries for 1,200 electric vehicles. Kevin Ashford has been taking a look.
Disposable vapes have rocketed in popularity recently, but it's estimated half of them are just being thrown away without being recycled. That's led to calls for action, including a ban on them. This is what people in Dewsbury thought about that idea.
Yeah, I think they should be banned. I'm sick of seeing them everywhere.
And they're not good for the environment.
And they're not good for the environment.
Well, it's plastic in it, and how long does plastic take to dissolve over the years? Long after we're dead and gone.
Well, I don't think they should be banned, but they should put them in the bin when they're done with them.
Vapes or e-cigarettes are seen as a way of helping people give up smoking. Many of the devices are reusable, but recently there's been a surge in popularity of disposable or single-use vapes. Vapes that contain some valuable resources if they're recycled.
We take apart the vapes to get to the battery just by pulling off the end and then pulling the internals out. So you can see here a lithium battery. So we have to take them apart quite manually to separate basically the components that are inside a vape. It's tricky, it's labour intensive, but they're very easily recyclable.
However, research claims 1.3 million single-use vapes are simply being thrown away every week. That means every year 10 tonnes of lithium inside the vapes is also being discarded. The same amount of lithium needed for 1,200 electric car batteries. One recycling campaign group says the situation has to change.
So we want people to bag them up and they can recycle them here with the small electricals. But we also want the producers and the retailers of these vapes to step up, meet their legal responsibilities and finance the cost of more local collection. So that's collection points in shops, it's collection points in pubs, in bars and university libraries, those sort of things.
The vaping industry body, the UKVIA, told us it had organised a summit next month for interested parties to come up with a way of minimising the impact of vapes on the environment. Pressure has been growing for an outright ban on disposable vapes. MPs recently debated a private member's bill calling for such a move.
There's absolutely no reason not to. They want people to use vapes to help them quit smoking, and there are reusable options to do that. And if they ban them, then they'll prevent these environmental hazards.
The government says the vaping sector needs to foot the bill for recycling vaping products, but says it has no immediate plans to ban disposable vapes. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Well, it's time for some sport now, and there'll be a new man in the dugout at Elland Road tomorrow.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
And as you can see, Chris is with us. So a new man in charge at Leeds United, just in time for the Southampton game, of course.
Yeah.
It was a bit touch and go, though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Javi Gracia appointed on Tuesday, of course, but it was only this lunchtime he was actually granted a working visa to get us cracking, get started with Leeds United. It means he can now officially start work preparing for tomorrow's crucial clash with Southampton. And this is the reason why it's so important that Leeds pick up 3 points. A defeat would leave them bottom of the table and staring at a real struggle to preserve their Premier League status. Well, despite the limited time he's had with the players on the training ground, Gracia says the team is ready for tomorrow's game.
We are well prepared, and the team and the players know perfectly what we are going to do tomorrow, and that's all. Full of energy, full of commitment, because we know it's a crucial game.
Now, from one man who's new to West Yorkshire Football Club to another celebrating a year in charge of one. I think it's fair to say many were shocked when former Manchester United, Chelsea and Barcelona player Mark Hughes took the reins at League Two side Bradford City. Now, he might not have yet sprinkled the stardust many hoped he would, but Sparky, as he's known, told me he's loved every minute of his time at Bradford so far.
Hughes onside. There's a chance for another one here. Maybe not now. Yes, there is! A fantastic goal by Hughes!
He's played for and managed some of the biggest teams in the world, from scoring screamers at Manchester United and Barcelona to touchline screaming at Manchester City and Wales. So when Mark Hughes took charge at Bradford City last year, there were more than a few raised eyebrows.
I've loved every minute of it. I think it's fair to say it was a little bit of a surprise when I turned up here 12 months ago for a lot of people. Maybe not least myself, because I hadn't anticipated probably even a couple of weeks prior to it. But for the most part, it's been really enjoyable. It's been a different experience in terms of what I've been used to in the past. But it's a job that demands your full focus, and that's what I've given it.
Sparky's year at Bradford has been steady rather than spectacular. The Bantams are just outside the League Two playoffs, but well placed for a promotion push. Is the team in a better place than it was 12 months ago?
I think so. I had a great response at the end of last season. We finished really strongly, and that put anticipation and expectation up to a different level than it was maybe before. But we're very handily placed. We're enjoying the season. We think we're in a really strong position now after the window. Really looking forward to the end of the season now.
Hughes is a man who leads by example, and he's shown already this season he can still play a bit.
Well, yeah, in my mind maybe, but like I said, as long as I'm static and I do a couple of flicks and a couple of headers, then I'm okay.
Still volley a ball well?
I've been known to try, yeah, but not the level I used to be at, unfortunately, but age comes to us all, doesn't it?
What would you like to be remembered as here at Bradford City?
I'd like to be remembered as the manager that took them out of League Two.
To achieve that, Bradford will need to chalk up a fair few wins before the end of the season. But if there's one man who knows all about a spectacular finish, it's Mark Hughes. You know, they say this, you should never meet your heroes. Well, he was my hero growing up, was Mark Hughes. I used to love watching him play at Manchester United. And he was such a lovely man as well yesterday.
I know, it's nice when you meet your hero and you find out they're really nice in real life too.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Plus, how you felt when you met me here.
Very similar, yeah, very similar.
All right. So that's the football then, Chris.
Yeah.
But the rugby league season starts for one of our teams tonight.
Yeah, the wait's finally over for Huddersfield Giant fans. They've had an extra week to wait to begin their season, and many experts are tipping the Giants to be dark horses for the Super League title this year. Head coach Ian Watson, in his third year in the job, will be aiming to improve on a season which saw them reach the Challenge Cup final and finish third in Super League. Tonight they begin with the visit of Warrington to the John Smith Stadium.
Our expectation is we want to win. Every time you go into a season, you want to win. You want to win every competition, else it's pointless you're playing. But the big kind of realistic kind of target is to make sure that we are consistently competing up there in them top two positions, to prove to everyone that we're not just having one good season, that we can have good season after good season and build a little bit of a legacy here at Huddersfield.
Kerry, weather then tonight?
Yeah, I mean, today was a little bit more unsettled than yesterday. I mean, we had a massive treat yesterday, didn't we, with those clear skies, plenty of sunshine and looking like spring. And actually, it was an absolute treat last night. We had a conjunction, and we've got a conjunction at the moment. What's that? Well, planets are aligning in the sunset sky towards the 1st of March. So between now and the 1st of March, Jupiter and Venus are converging, getting closer and closer together. Now, tonight, visible towards the western horizon, it's the last night you can see these two planets appear with the moon. This was last night under those clear skies. The moon, Jupiter and Venus. A big thank you to Bob Carter for this shot in Hull and Richard Bowl for this one in Beverley. So are we going to get the clear skies? Well, today pretty much set the scene. I said it was a little bit more unsettled. We've had a cold northerly wind starting to develop, and that's created some fairly choppy conditions directly at the coast and a few showers, but it was a beautiful start first thing this morning. Gorgeous here at Swillington Ings. A big thank you to Mick Cale, and also this one, Scarborough, the Holbeck Clock Tower, which is newly restored. A big thank you to Rose Haberley for taking the shot first thing this morning. Quite mild at around 11:30 this morning before that colder air started to work its way in. Now, we were saying, weren't we, during our 5 o'clock cuppa, that it was light still.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so the evenings are really noticeable now, but not just the evenings, the mornings, and it means we can see more, like this gorgeous shot. A big thank you to Kerry Greenfield of this barn owl, and also Andrew Woodcock caught one. He put a box out last year and it came back to the box at 7 o'clock in the morning. Keep those photos coming.
Oh, it's feeling more spring-like every day, isn't it? Thanks, Kerry. Now, as services continue around our region tonight, marking a year since Russian troops invaded Ukraine, like here in Bradford, the ITV Evening News will have more from the war-torn country when it follows us at 6:30. Here's Charlene White with the details.
Coming up, Ukraine 1 year on. Tonight, we've the latest from Kyiv as the first anniversary of the Russian invasion is marked there and around the world. Also ahead, a 3-day strike by junior doctors in England. We'll have the dates and the details, plus...
My word, does victory taste good.
Could Newcastle taste domestic glory for the first time since 1955? We'll have the build-up to Sunday's Carabao Cup clash against Manchester United. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Very well, Charlene. Thank you very much indeed. Now, time for a bit of a celebration. The world's most famous locomotive, made in Doncaster, of course, celebrates its 100th birthday.
Famed as an icon of our railways, it set speed records, travelled the world and had its fair share of rescues and renovations along the way. But today it's in fine fettle and being honoured in style.
Yes, let's find out a little bit about a poem as well by Huddersfield's very own poet laureate, Simon Armitage. Here's James Webster.
The making of Flying Scotsman. The blueprint came from the future. Plans for a spaceship powered by water and coal. They fired up the furnace with kindling and oily rags and strong-armed the bellows till the flames sang.
It's been blazing a trail through Britain for a century, a giant of engineering with a story tracked by millions on board and from afar. Its latest milestone inspiring the pen of the Poet Laureate as it sat in steam in the Scottish capital today, a place where it made history back in 1928 after hauling the first non-stop service from London to Edinburgh.
It means heritage, tradition. It rolled out of Doncaster originally, so as a Yorkshireman, there's pride in that. It reminds me of a time when, you know, the railways were something you could take pride in and rely on as well.
The beautiful engine eased out of platform 10.
Built at Doncaster Works, it first came into service on this day 100 years ago. It soon became the first UK locomotive to reach 100 miles per hour, traversing the country's rail network until it was retired in 1963. In private hands, it travelled to America and Australia before a series of restorations and revivals, the latest a decade-long overhaul completed in 2016, masterminded by the National Railway Museum in York.
Everybody has some kind of connection to it. It's become a national icon. It's like Big Ben, really. People really want to see it. I mean, it'll be here at the museum in April. It's going to survive in some form or other forever, I think.
I have been on it and the experience is out of this world.
I love the smell, the heat, it's just incredible, yeah. It's just a huge feat of engineering, and just look at them, especially the Flying Scotsman.
So with the fire still burning bright for the Flying Scotsman, it's on track to rack up yet more mileage and more admirers as its journey continues. James Webster, ITV News.
I love a steam train.
I know. Happy birthday to the Flying Scotsman.
Here's Kerry now with the weather.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. So it is a mixture of sunshine and showers into the weekend. Already some across the region today. Big thank you to Chris King for this one in Rothwell, Leeds, and also for this one by Jane Shipley in Asquith, North Yorkshire. And there is a risk of some showers over the next few days, but many of us will be dry with some cloud around and also a little bit of sunshine. Very similar to today, that northerly kicking in, really strong breeze out towards the coast and feeding in a little bit of moisture in off the North Sea during the course of the day. So as we head through into this evening and overnight tonight, similar story, many places dry, further west, clearer and colder. So the blue you can see on the chart indicating a risk of a frost in rural spots and shelter from that northerly breeze, but still quite breezy and blustery out towards the coast. And there is sometimes as we head into the weekend. Saturday sun rising at 7:05 and setting again at 5:35. So as we head into tomorrow, yes, the risk of a few showers being brought in along that northerly flow. It will be quite breezy, especially out towards the coast. But for many of us, bright and breezy, some sunshine coming through, patchy cloud, but some breaks and some sunshine at times. And we do think Saturday will be the sunniest of the days. As we head into Sunday, maybe a little bit more cloud around. Again, we've still got that northeasterly, so it will feel cold along the coastline and perhaps produce one or two showers that will be brought in off the North Sea a little bit further inland. But as we head into the next couple of days, we are expecting high pressure to stay nearby to the north and west of the UK. So we continue with that northeasterly. It might bring in a few more showers Monday into Tuesday. Could be a tiny bit wintry right over the tops. But for most of us, it's a fairly settled spell ahead for much of the week.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
So there you go, the weekend is almost upon us and it doesn't look too bad at all.
No, it's going to be a good one, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it is, and I've got some more good news.
What's that then?
Chris Dawkes is back with the late news at 10:30, so I hope very much you'll join us then. In the meantime, have a good weekend.
Bye-bye from all of us.
Bye-bye.
Bye, take care.